Biztechasia Technology Show. Our guest for today is Alok Kulkarni. He's the CEO and co-founder of Cyara. Cyara is one of the world's leading automated customer experience assurance platforms, which is founded in Australia, but is headquartered in the Silicon Valley in the US. Now, to tell us more about Cyara, welcome to the show, Alok.
Thanks, Brian. It's a pleasure to be on. Thanks for having me.
Now, Alok, could you start by giving us an overview of Cyara and what you do today?
Yeah, so Cyara is a cloud-based subscription or SaaS platform that helps enterprises assure their customer experience. And what we mean by that is we are an automated testing and monitoring platform for all things that would go in your customer communication systems, be it your IVRs, your contact center technology systems, or your desktops, which the agents use, or your customer service representatives use to communicate with customers. And we're able to do this automated testing and monitoring of your pre-production environment to your production environment to essentially take any risk out of the changes that you make in your platform. So your customer experience is as good as it should be. And we're also able to reduce a lot of risk that is associated with bringing in new capabilities to the market for how you engage with your customers. So that's what we do.
Now, you've got a lot of competitors out there, the big players, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's Google, everyone's eyeing the customer experience space right now. Tell us about what sets your products and services apart from your competitors.
Yeah, that's a great question. So this space, as you mentioned, Brian, is super hot right now. We've got Salesforce just announced an entry into the contact center market. We've had Google, Amazon, Zoom, Microsoft, Genesys, some of the big players, NICE, and we had the legacy players like Avaya and Cisco and so forth as well. So this is a very hot space because we're living in the experience economy, and most of the communications that we have now or these enterprises now have with their customers is digital. And we've also seen a big move to the cloud. So in the experience economy, your brand loyalty and customer engagement is what counts towards, more business or loyalty towards your business. And it's really imperative for these companies to deliver a great experience. So that's why you see so much focus on it. And it's a big mission critical thing that companies have to get right with a lot of changes. We've also seen things like conversational AI, which is chatbots coming in. So I'm sure a lot of your viewers and customers would have engaged with the bot online. And sometimes it's there to help, but sometimes you ask it some questions and it may not give you the answer that you need and you get frustrated. So but it's definitely the way of the future. So there's a lot of tech in here, and what we are is a automated testing and monitoring platform for all of these ways that customers can communicate with the enterprises, be it chatbots, voice bots, be it a traditional phone, the web, the mobile, all the way through to, doing conversations with the contact center. However, we're different to all those companies you mentioned because we're Switzerland. So we help all these technology companies by testing and monitoring their platform for our enterprise customers who deploy them. So we're agnostic to any technology player, and we are helping them capitalize or accelerate the adoption of any new change or new technologies so that these enterprises can effectively bring them on without impacting the customer experience and making it better.
Now, the whole idea of testing for customer experience is an alien concept to a lot of boardrooms across the world. Could you give us a sense then of, and I ask you a fundamental question, why bother and why do I have to focus on that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, there's a lot of trends in the market right now. One is the emergence of AI, right? So if you are any business, you have to grow, there are three things that matter. One is you've got to increase your revenue. Second thing is you need to reduce your cost. Third thing is you need business agility, no matter which business you operate in. And as we move to this experience economy, customer experience has become a critical way for customers to engage. So most customers have a web engagement platform, they have a mobile engagement platform, and the way that customers are contacting them is via digital means, right? So effectively, if they're contacting them via digital means, it means that they have to answer those queries. Otherwise, their brand reputation is not perceived in the way that the customers would like to have it. In fact, if 32% of customers will leave a brand with just one negative customer experience, 32%, right? And I can send you the stats on this later as to the report.
And that's a very high number when you think about it.
Yeah, it is,
one
right?
in three.
Yeah, that's right. So just one negative customer experience, because it's so easy. You go on the web, you look at your competitor, you contact them, or you're not happy with something. The cost of switching is very low. So if you want to retain those customers, then CEOs are asking themselves, how can I build mass customization and mass communication that scale, so customers feel like, hey, this company really gets me. I'm time poor. I need to, I'm doing all this business with them, and they really understand my needs, and they're going to service me the way I want to be serviced. Maybe, on the phone at night when I can just do chats because my kids are sleeping. Or, if it's something urgent, I want to pick up the phone like during COVID, right? Like my flights are booked, it's departing tomorrow, but, we need to reschedule and I need to get somebody on the phone. Or maybe going online and just perusing the web to understand more. So all these things mean that you need either a huge workforce, which means you're increasing your cost of delivering that service and you become uncompetitive, or you can deploy technology which helps you have more conversational with your customers without increasing your cost, right? Either which way, either you increase your cost or you put technology in, it's gonna impact your business. So most companies opt to do a bit of both. So they'll bring in technology to help, meet the volume of these customer inquiries. But when you bring these technologies in, there's so many moving parts, right? I don't know, have you had an experience where you've gone to engage with a brand or something like that, and you go on their web, you have a chat, and effectively it's not answering a question, and then they say, oh, you're going to have to contact the call center?
Yes, absolutely.
And then when you contact the call center, what happens? Like they'll say, oh, now you have to re-authenticate yourself, re-enter all the information that you've already given before, right? To whatever you engage with, the chatbot or the web. And it's like frustrating because now you're on hold for like 30 minutes, whereas you already spent another previous half an hour and you've got things to get on with, right? So those are the experiences that customers don't want. So therefore, it's really important to effectively test these conversation systems to effectively get the consumers the answers that they want, and making sure that it happens in a very effective way, and you're able to like service them when they contact you.
Now, Alok, could you share, and obviously you have a lot of examples, but could you share some examples of how you've had helped customers basically deliver better quality service to their customers?
Yeah, look, I'll give you a bunch of examples, right? So one example is you've got it's at scale, right? So one example is you're a large brand and you've run a big marketing campaign, like you're going to do a product announcement, you're releasing something new to the market, and you're expecting a huge influx of customer contact, either in your website or your call centers when people want to place orders, right? For your product, or they have inquiries about it. So what we're able to do is effectively load test that entire customer contingent contacting the organization at scale using our platform without using real customers. So in the past, the way they would have done it is they would have given the phone number to or the website to a bunch of their employees, and or contracted somebody and go, hey, contact this number and see how you go, which is like manual, it's not repeatable, and it's not measurable, right? With Cyara, you just click a button and then, we can launch 45,000 concurrent customers or more contacting these organizations to inquire about all sorts of things that they would have typically. And what happens because we do it before the launch or whatever, we're able to make sure that the systems holds up, right? So you don't want the website crashing, you don't want the phone systems dying down, you don't want your retail systems going down, because that's loss of business. So that's one example of how we've helped like some of the largest companies around the world deal with scale. The second one is adding more sophisticated delivery for how customers engage with the brands to get things done on their own, right? So the idea is like you could go to the bank, wait in the queue to get a teller to withdraw money, or you can go to the ATM and draw cash from an automated system, right? So we are able to help like our companies do the latter, like which is like get the automated systems up so the customer doesn't have to talk to a human being to get the service that they need. For example, if you're an airline, we had a customer in the US who used to send contacts calls to a call center in India, for example, or whichever remote location where the agents were, for seat confirmations and seat changes. So if you were an airline and your customers wanted to change the seat from let's say one seat to another, they didn't have the systems in place to be able to do that. Now, obviously, now they have the app, but they also want to do it over the phone, right? So they built the IVR, which is basically like an interactive voice response where you just call up and you put in the what you want to do and what seat you wanted to change to in the IVR, but there's no way to test it. So we were able to create a library of test cases for all different types of customers, right? So if you think about an airline, they've got platinum customers, they've got gold, bronze, silver segments. Then it depends on what ticket type you buy. Then it depends on what sort of privileges that comes in. So it's not straightforward as, hey, just let's offer the ability to do this in the automated system. So there's all these different scenarios that need to be tested. Some of our customers have like 2 million scenarios they need to test, right? So we're able to just with the click of button, go through all those different scenarios in an automated way, report it and make sure it works. So they're able to like do more sophisticated things in the automation system. So that's another example of what we do. The third example is when we monitor production environments. So one of the largest retailers in the US during a Black Friday sale was experiencing point of sale issues, right? Within 2 minutes of the point of sale issue occurring, Cyara was able to tell them that they had a problem with their point of sale systems at their retailers, because all these retailers were contacting their contact center to say, hey, it's not working. So within 2 minutes, we picked it up and we helped them rectify it with some software that they deployed that wasn't working. And they were able to save, Black Friday sales, as you know, is a one-day sales event. So every minute counts because the next day, it doesn't work. So we were able to save them millions of dollars by making sure we got early detection of what the customer experience was in production. So those are 3 examples, and I can go on, but like these are how these are the ways we've helped customers, I guess, keep pace with technology as it changes with customer experience.
Now, Cyara is obviously operating in a blue ocean. There's a lot of opportunities out there, and because of that, you've received more than 350 million earlier this year in a Series B funding from the likes of K1 Investment Management, and as well as your long-term investors, Peakspan and Green Spring Associates. Tell us about that funding round and why you chose to take that funding route as opposed to going public, perhaps.
Yeah, look, I think as a CEO, I have the fiduciary duty to all my shareholders, my stakeholders, and employees. So we were looking at a way of, we believe that the future is very bright, because, there's all these things we mentioned around conversational AI, where, I believe in the future, consumers are going to be interacting with enterprises, and the way that they interact will be with over, conversational AI, using avatars and things like that. So you can get the answers to the queries you want, and you don't have to go and, wait in the line to talk to somebody on the phone. But even if you do, effectively, we think that's the future. And the way the communication is going to happen is going to be digital. So we had we've got a big vision in terms of how we help all our customers and, our target customers navigate that journey. And so we'd grown significantly, and we needed further capital to expand the category that we are in, right? So effectively, we decided to partner with a category leader that was a category builder that is K1. And they're able to sort of essentially, that's all they do. They do B2B SaaS companies and invest in them as a category leaders to grow and build a platform out. So that seemed like a really good marriage for Cyara and K1, and our existing investor Peakspan also continues to believe in our growth story. So we did that. Now, in terms of whether we go public or private, the thing is, as we've seen, the public markets, you're beholden to macroeconomic environments. And so it's a question of, whether you want to do that or whether you want to go private. I think going private has a lot of its advantages. So right now, as you can see, if you're in the public market, it's not a pretty place to be with
not at all
going up. There's a lot of turmoil going on. And like, essentially, if you're trying to hold on to your employees and things like that, and they see, their stock prices fluctuating like that, it's there's an overhead with dealing with public markets. You can't move as fast, in terms of if you want to do acquisitions and all that, because everything's got to be public. Whereas if you're private, it gives you a lot of flexibility to grow and make changes dynamically as you go along. So as long as you find the right partner, I think that tends to be a really good opportunity to do that. So we took the decision to the board, I spoke to our stakeholders, and we decided to look into it further, and it just worked out really well. And we're really happy with the K1 partnership. I think they've been amazing to partner with.
Alok, one of the things that obviously you took the money for is to make acquisitions. You acquired in April this year Botium, which is in the conversational AI and chatbot space. Tell us about that and how that fits obviously with your strategy.
Yeah, sure. So we want to be the one-stop shop for any enterprise doing any sort of customer communications to help them bridge the journey across all the different channels, so that it's a seamless experience for the customers. Now, what's happening in the market is there are lots and lots of providers in the market. So in the enterprise world, you don't go to just one vendor to buy your technology from. They might go, hey, particular vendor does texting really well. This particular vendor does conversational AI really well. This other vendor does IVRs really well, and this one is really good for desktop automation and things like that. So they're picking and choosing different technologies, and what we want to be is Switzerland, so we can effectively bring all these different disparate technologies together, and we are the closest thing to have, which essentially emulates the customer experience, so they can bring all this together, integrate it, and make sure they're competitive in what they're bringing to the market. So effectively, with that vision in mind, we saw that we had some chatbot testing capabilities, but we wanted to essentially, it's a build or buy decision, right? So we found Bodium, and they were it's a great team out of Austria. They were the world leader in chatbot assurance, and we were convinced that the chatbots and conversational AI is going to be playing a huge role in the future, especially with the advancements that are going on in AI, right? We will see a marked change in the next few years. So that was how that acquisition strategy made sense. So they'll be integrated with the Cyara platform, and then moving forward, we're going to also acquire some more companies to fill out that vision across all these different ways a customer can engage with enterprises to get value.
Now, Alok, I want to zoom in on you and the company itself. You've built a global, you and your co-founders have built a global business out of Australia over a span of about 16 years. What are some of the key lessons that you can share with us as you grew the business at different stages?
Yeah, I think, look, it's how, you will achieve as big as you dream, right? So it's up to you how big you want to dream. So we always had the ambition to be a global player. That's why the site we got was a .com site, not a .com.au, because in the software platform, you could be the biggest in your country, or you could be the biggest in the world. And we figured, like, if we were just the biggest one in our country, then in this thing, like a bigger platform would consume us. So we had ambitions to take this global. Some of the lessons I would say is, as you know, Brian, you're an entrepreneur, right? You need to dream big, but you also got to face the reality of the challenges you might have, right? And James, our president, also says, like, it's building a business is a positive sine curve regression, right? Mm-hmm. What that means is, like, there's ups and downs, but as long as you're trending up, that's where it goes. So we've had a fair share of challenges and opportunities, and you got to just have the grit to continue and go forth. And I think the key things I would say is you got to be very close to your customers. and you got to take feedback and be ready to pivot. So quite often, what we've seen is, as an entrepreneur, you have a view of what you think life should be, right, or how the platform should look and everything like that. But when you get customer feedback, you need to act on what customers are saying and fulfill their needs, because you might have established a particular product with a particular view, but the feedback that you get then helps you make it better. So you need to continually listen to the customer feedback and iterate and move with the times. So when we first started, we were testing IVRs, and it was more around technology called SIP at the time. That was 16 years ago. Today, we're talking about conversational AI and digital and web and all that sort of stuff. The market keeps moving. And so effectively, you got to move with the times. The second thing is, I think when you're building companies, again, something we talked about earlier is people, right? I think to build out a great team is, in my opinion, the most important thing you can do. If you have the right people, then technology waves can come and go, and you will ride the thing. I think the third thing is, if you can be capital efficient, I think it's good as well. I think in the last 20 years, we've seen a lot of growth based on like the quantitative easing that was going in the market. So it's easy to acquire capital. I guess, learning that we had was we were effectively capital efficient from the start. So, effectively, if you could be capital efficient and, be bootstrapped and be profitable, unless you really have to grow rapidly to capture the market share, then I think that also holds you in good place. So those are the few things, for example, that we learned that really helped us get to where we are. Because when there was opportunities to raise capital and the markets turned, like during COVID, we were able to sort of hold back and say, hey, maybe now is not the time to do it. So we were able to have control over our destiny, right? So those are some of the things I would say the learnings for us.
Alok, it's been a very informative and fascinating conversation, and I really enjoyed it. But before we leave, any final thoughts you'd like to leave the audience with?
Oh, look, I think, we are, like to all your listeners and viewers, I think customer experience is one of those things which are very, very exciting space. And if you get it right, it can be the lifeblood of any business. So I think I would say that they need to focus on it to really make sure that their companies are able to navigate the turbulence that's coming out ahead of us. But I think there are technologies and players in place that can help you navigate those challenges and become a lasting legacy. So that's what I would say.
Now, Alok, thank you very much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Brian. It's been a pleasure.
I'm Brian Fernandez, and we've been speaking to Alok Kulkarni. He's the CEO and co-founder of Cyara on Biztechasia show. This video and podcast will be on our social media platforms as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. It will also be on our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.